Second Showdown, 6 nimmt, and Donut County. This is Staying In. Oh, and just before we begin, in this episode, for some reason, we say the word meta, M-E-T-A, quite a lot without really explaining what it is. So I've just got this off Wikipedia, and it says, the meta game is any approach to a game that transcends or operates outside of the prescribed rules of the game. So, I hope that makes some sort of sense. This is Staying In. Nina! It's come back from the hospital.
What has?
I had to send my Joy-Cons,
Yeah.
my Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controllers, off to the Nintendo hospital recently.
Yeah, where Dr. Mario works.
Where Dr. Mario works, yeah. I mean, he just throws pills at them, which is
awful bedside manner.
Ineffective.
And I have to say, it was a thoroughly professional experience. They went away in a little box that I had to create for them. And at every point in the stage, I was given like a little update on how my Joy-Cons were getting along.
So it's like when you get your car in for an MOT, you're allowed to look through the viewing window.
Yeah, I was there standing next to him with flowers in one hand, like some grapes in the
Watching
other.
Bargain Hunt on the TV in the corner.
Come on, Joy-Con left yellow, pull through! The Nintendo hospital really pulls out all the stops. And this is the kind of nerdy thing that I'm enjoying in my later life.
Yeah.
Is that I was immediately alerted to the fact that repair tech was sending back one of my Joy-Cons and it would be delivered by the DPD driver. And I was like, oh God, now it's, whenever I see like, arrange your delivery, I'm just like, I'm never going to be in. Like, it's never going to arrive on time. It's just going to be the worst experience.
Yeah. Other very poor delivery companies are available.
Yeah. However,
oh,
can I just say many thanks to Angela, her husband, and their DPD dog, who came to deliver both of my Joy-Cons, actually, because they arrived separately.
How big are these Joy-Cons? How big are these Joy-Cons?
They're tiny, but one was fixed first. Well, no fault was found, so that was sent back. Angela delivered that one, and the next one was delivered by Angela. And when the second one came, they just drove up to the house and just sat outside. And my dog was just going mental because obviously she could see another dog in the car. So 2 people just sitting outside in this DPD van. And we were like, delivery men just like sitting on the driveway, waiting. And then she got out the door, came up, rang the doorbell. And she was like, oh, I'm really sorry that we're just sitting on the driveway there. We cannot physically deliver this package to you until the time officially stated on the email and text you have been sent. So I got sent a text at the start of the day saying Angela will deliver your Joy-Con to you between 2:30 and 3:30. She arrived at our house at 2:20, so she had to sit in the car with her husband and her dog until 2:30. Otherwise, she wouldn't have physically. She would have physically been able to hand over the package, but if she tried to scan it to say that it'd been handed over, the computer wouldn't have acknowledged it. So
what?
Well done.
Well done, Angela and family.
That's the kind of precision delivering that when I retire, that's the kind of really pedantic thing that I'd love to do when I retire. Yeah. Just sitting outside of people's houses going, no, I cannot physically deliver the package that you really want until the specified time. It's like when you drive at the speed limit and there's loads of people trying to overtake you and you're just like happy in your knowledge that you're doing everything to obey the laws and rules of the world.
I'm morally right in this situation.
Yeah.
It's like when my dad's parents used to come and visit, and if we'd agreed on a particular time and if they arrived early, they wouldn't kind of come in. They would instead park at the top of the road. Just wait.
Kris, this can't be real.
There's nothing like family love, is there? Oh, we said we'd arrive at 4 and it's 2:30. We just can drive round a few times.
We don't want to see him for any longer than that. That's what they said.
Yeah, that's the worst bit.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't want to spend more time with you.
Barry, I have allocated 7 hours of mental energy to Kris. That's 7 hours and not a minute longer.
What's the most amount of people you played a game with?
Like 40? Maybe 50?
50?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You can't find enough time to play full blown 7 Wonders. You haven't got enough people to play 7 Wonders.
I know,
with
yeah.
You, but...
Well, I'm Peter Willington. The one thing I hate is playing games in large groups that take ages.
Is it like if you got your own British Bulldog team?
Yeah, that's right. No, I played a mega game. I played a game where it was called. I think the game was. I can't remember what the game was called, but it was set in a brewery, and we were in a brewery in Bristol.
Sure it just wasn't a night out.
Yeah,
It wasn't your birthday party.
It was a game. It was a game about. It was a role playing game about prohibition, and it was kind of like that sort of.
So nobody drank. I'm sure the owners of the pub were thrilled.
And it was.
What was this game? I'm sure this was your birthday a few years ago.
No, it was a Halloween thing. It was around my birthday, but it was basically it was a game where half of us. Well, everybody was a mob. Pretty much everybody was a member of the mob, and then some people were like members of the society, and then the idea was that everybody had like a secret agenda, and that you had to get that, and you also had to not die.
Generally 8 for me, the Resistance, probably. And Spyfall.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like...
I know.
Pete's story is kind of like buried what I was going to say, so, it's not as impressive now. I thought like I was going to be like, well, I played a game with 14 other people, and you be guys, whoa, 14?
Yeah.
I mean, that is extraordinary.
It is extraordinary.
What game could you possibly play with 14 people, Sam?
Well, you can actually play it up to 20 people.
20 people!
This is brand new from Big Potato Games.
They made the Barack Obama Llama game.
The Barack Obama Llama game, yes.
Yeah.
They did make that game.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as just Obama Llama.
Oh, right, yeah.
They also made Bucket of Doom.
Okay.
Which is another popular party game. And they've also made this one, which is called 20 Second Showdown. And they're very, very nice people. It's a UK company. And they sent us this copy of 20 Second Showdown.
Ooh.
And they sent it in a nice box, and they must have definitely known the audience because it came with a lovely tote bag filled with sweets from the late 90s.
Yeah, they've got you pinned down.
Yeah, so this is a party game for like 5 to 20 people, and when it comes to party games, I like to think of myself as a bit of a party game snob in a way. When we were first like playing games as a family, like Cards Against Humanity was the big thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think Cards Against Humanity is great for one respect because it for people who are not very familiar with board games, or people who are not very familiar with party games, who haven't really played a party game beyond like say Twister or Jenga or like Trivial Pursuit or something like that, Cards Against Humanity feels like a dirty little secret. Like it feels like, something that shouldn't be allowed.
Sure.
Which I think definitely has its place. After the second time I played it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not really the biggest fan of it, and it's not. I don't think it's really because I'm a prude. It's just because I don't really enjoy the challenge. So when I was looking for that next sort of party game step, that's where Big Potato Games kind of really stepped in for me. Like, we played Bucket of Doom, and that was kind of like the Cards Against Humanity version, but with a lot more depth and interesting. In Bucket of Doom, you basically have these scenarios that you're attempting, like sort of those devilish, super villain-esque scenarios that you have to try and find a way of escaping from. Like you're in a pit full of vipers. The only thing you've got on you is a hair grip and a pint of milk. Like, how are you going to escape?
Okay.
And rather than what are these humorously offensive cards can I put down next, it's actually like, hang on, let me think about this and let me actually try and entertain the people that are around me.
Yeah.
And then we got a Barmalama for one Christmas, and that was just like one of those moments where, this is charades but fun. And then Monica's came along, and everyone in my family was like, this game is incredible. And now at least I think my mother-in-law and my auntie-in-law now both own copies of Monica's since we played it.
Brilliant.
Monica's isn't a big potato game, but I bring up Monica's and it rating so highly in my family for a very pertinent reason, which I'll come to later. So then we got 22nd Showdown, and we had a party, and there was 15 of us, and it was like Monica's versus 22nd Showdown from Big Potato Games. And
that needs a
everyone
theme
was very sort of, everyone was very sort of skeptical about this game, and like, would it actually beat Monica's, the game that we all play and we love so much that Kris made a bespoke version of it for my stag do. It's called Samika's.
Certainly did.
So 22nd Showdown comes in this in this box which is shaped like an hourglass, and all that's inside it really is a couple of batons. One's yellow and one's blue.
Okay.
And the batons are actually quite important. A bunch of cards. I think there's about 400 of them. And then this, which is actually, when I first saw it, I was a bit critical of it. I thought, really? Like, could you not just like get us to do this all on our phones? This novelty-sized sand timer.
Right.
Now, when I turn this over, hopefully you'll be able to hear this thing. Well, you definitely would be.
Oh, God.
And so this sand timer is specifically designed to be quite loud.
Yeah.
And that is for a reason. Because once you really get going with 22nd Showdown, the noise that everyone around the table is making throughout this game, the thing that you're actually using as a main mechanism of the game, which is like, how long have I got to do this challenge and succeed, has to be loud enough to be heard over it. And my God, there's a lot of noise, especially when we played it with 14 people. Even when I played it with 6 people, it was incredible, astounding. So it's very, very easy. You have 2 teams, blue and yellow. The person whose go it is holds the baton. You have one person who's like the judge, who isn't really on a team. And I think with smaller groups, you can probably get away with the judge being part of a team. But as teams get bigger, you really need someone to like have an overview of the whole game and also almost manage it in a way, because things get so frenetic and so pacey. You've only got 20 seconds to do things, so you kind of need someone with a level head who has no interest in what the other teams are doing to be able to go, right, here's the next challenge. And so whoever this judge is turns the timer over. If it's blue, you have the blue end of the hourglass on top. They've got 20 seconds to shout out the names of 5 different coffee drinks. Kris.
And that's why Kris would have lost, because he should have said latte, macchiato, frappuccino, cappuccino, and Americano.
Yeah, and then you flip the timer over, and now it's the yellow team's turn. And who's holding the yellow team baton has to answer the riddle, what has hands but cannot clap?
Clock.
Correct. And then you turn the thing over, and then the baton gets passed to the next player, and it keeps on going until the timer of one perspective half runs out, and that's it. It's 20-second showdown. So there's a wonderful thing about this game where, and this is why I brought up monikers. 20-second showdown is now a game that I will take with me to every family gathering alongside monikers. And the reason that it has that plinth is because of the curation of the cards that are in there. There's nothing to stop you from going home and just making your own version of monikers or making your own version of 20-second showdown. The secret to what those games are actually able to do is the writing that has gone onto the cards and the pool of activities and tasks that they're asking you to do. That's what gets me excited about 20-second showdown. The fact that there's like a mix of, here's a riddle you have to solve, here's a maths puzzle, but then there's also me having to hand a card to my father-in-law using my mouth.
What did he use?
But funny story, when my dad spent Christmas with us, he actually turned to me and went, is Lisa's brother adopted? I was like, no. He goes, well, he never calls his dad Dad. He just refers to him by his first name. And I was just like, that just sums up like,
yeah,
you know, that's their relationship. Yeah. But then you get a game like 20-second Showdown, and that same man is being lifted off his back legs in wheelbarrow style, being hauled across a kitchen floor while he touches the farthest door from the thing. And it's just like,
yeah,
I just love any party game or any game that is able to use competition as a way to encourage play and for it to be good play. It's not... And I think this is what Big Potato Games is genuinely really good at. It doesn't feel like play at the expense of anyone or anyone in particular. Like, there's nothing really that I've experienced in this deck of cards that really singles anybody out or is unfair to anyone.
Right.
Or there's nothing really that tricky or difficult. And if you are stuck, there are these little like help cards which you can play so you can get help from your team to finish something. But there's nothing that feels especially mean. It's all play designed around if you can't get something like saying, just if I pick another one out at random and it'll be a good one because these cards are so brilliant. It's like slow dance with a teammate for 3 seconds. They're just these wonderful little things that everyone wants to take part in. But exactly, they create those moments of just like fun and laughter. And that's why this counter has to be so loud, because by the time the other team are getting their instruction, you're still laughing at Auntie Norris and Uncle Ken slow dancing for 3 seconds in the middle of the table. And the other team are like, we've only got 5 seconds to get our instruction and get the other thing. And that's why it comes down to the fact that you need a judge to do these kind of things. I think
just to fire a pistol into the air occasionally.
Yeah. And that curation of the cards is what everyone that we were playing with like loved. So much so that we actually had to house rules the game slightly.
Right.
Because the action's so frenetic in between times, we were stopping the timer to kind of let the action bubble down a little bit before the next team would get their action.
Right.
Because things kind of would get missed. And if I did sort of level anything against this game, is that 20 seconds sometimes doesn't feel like long enough, especially when you have to crawl through 7 pairs of legs on your hands and knees, and the other team just had to answer a simple maths puzzle. Sometimes the balance of things can be a little bit off. And also, you very much get the sense that this was created by a group of friends all in an office, just giving each other tasks to do.
Right.
Like maybe if they're slightly bored, because a lot of them, like there are some ones which just like fold a piece of paper 8 times, or take off an item of clothing and wrap it around your head, or take off your shoes and wear them on different feet. We were playing at a garden party and it was really hot. Some people were only wearing 1 item of clothing. There was hardly any paper around because it was
Just a towel.
because it was just a party. Most people weren't wearing any shoes. One of the tasks called for a phone. That person just didn't have their phone, and we'd already used up their help card. And it's just like, well, what do we do now? And I think that's when you know this game is really, really good, because those like little niggles really shine out. It's like when someone has a card that says activate the torch on your phone and twirl around like you're a lighthouse, but they don't have a phone and they can't ask for help because they've already used the help. Knowing that you've missed out on that
interesting
thing, like seeing Grandpa do that, is a real shame. And it is like a real shame, like thinking about the next time I play this, do I have to have like, does everyone have to be like everyone wearing a cardigan and a jumper? Is everyone got shoes on?
Yeah.
All right, we've got pen and paper over there. We've got like glasses and safe things over here. Like,
We've pushed all the furniture to the sides of the room.
now that we're ready to play, which doesn't really feel like in the essence of the game.
Right.
But I think I only pick up on that kind of thing because we were having so much fun playing it. Only one glass got broken, and it was a bloody miracle. Because
But I think that sentence of "I'm surprised that only one glass got broken" is probably the highest praise you can give this game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it perfectly encapsulates what this game is about. Like, get some friends together, hang out, and then just make each other feel silly. Like, play. And I think and good-hearted, like good-humored play from what you've been saying. So, man, that sounds really
and
good.
we played Monica's afterwards.
Yeah.
And as soon as we finished Monica's, everyone just wanted to play 20-Second Showdown again.
Yeah.
And this is a game, when I finished playing it, everyone asked me, like, oh, how much is this game? Like, where can I get? I'm definitely getting a copy of that. I'm definitely getting a copy of that. And I really hope, really hope that Big Potato support this with more cards, because the one problem that Monica's has, and I call it the awful uncle problem, is that, and this comes from the fact that every time I've played Monica's, we've always had the your awful uncle card, always gets picked. And I have Monica's with 2 expansion packs in it. And no matter what I do to try and avoid like repeats, like I pick out clumps from all different parts of the thing, like deal them out, shuffle them, every amount of different players, your awful uncle always turns up. And the 3 or 4 times I played 20-Second Showdown, starting to see repeats. And even though different people are doing those different things, it's... That's my biggest worry, is like, how many games can I play of 20-Second Showdown before I start to have to panic about like these wonderful cards becoming a precious commodity?
But I mean, that is unfortunately the double-edged sword of being the person who owns the party game. Like the fact that you introduce it to loads of people. All the people who come to your party are like, wow, I had an amazing time. And you're like, my awful uncle again.
I'd love for them just to, like, whether it's on Kickstarter or something, which I know is what Monica's does from time to time, it's just like have a little run of like selling some more of these cards to release. Because, you know, these things to me are like gold dust. Like, when Monica's gets a new expansion, I snap those things up straight away, because that is what I'm playing these games for, is someone a lot cleverer, funnier and smarter than I to tell me how to play and be funny. And that to me is like worth more than its weight in gold. It's just, you know, brilliant. Love it.
You're welcome.
I was going to go for that joke as well. I was going to go with "I'll be round later," but
right, Kris, quickly,
Samuel,
list everything that you've eaten today.
Oh, we'll be here for more than 20 seconds. F***ing hell.
We were all together recently.
We were. Oh,
We were, weren't we? We all had a... I mean, Dan was, but he's not here now, so...
He's currently holidaying.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that, Chris, because the way I said it made it sound
a little bit
exceptionally...
too ominous.
yeah,
Yeah, Dan was there, but he's not now.
yeah.
No fault found.
Like we got together and murdered him. Yes, we had all sorts of fun times in sunny Bristol. Except it wasn't that sunny. It was absolutely hammering it down all the time.
It was incredibly not sunny. It was, but it was still lovely. I did something I've never done before in Bristol, and that was slide down some shiny rocks.
Yes, it is a Bristol tradition.
We've buffed that slide beautifully, didn't we?
It's a natural slide.
It's a natural. It was a thing. Yeah, it was a natural slide. So I don't. What worries me most about that natural slide is, Pete, what came first? Because surely that natural, like smooth stone is created over time by erosion.
Very long time.
So, have people of Bristol been sliding down it for hundreds of years? So
Yes.
it's now smooth and shiny and super easy to slide down.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I'm very, very thankful
Yes.
for everyone of Bristol for doing that
for
for
all
me.
of the burnt asses that came before.
Yeah, your pain and sacrifice meant that I could have a great time sliding down some rocks.
Yes.
I don't think the word martyr gets used enough, actually.
This is why it's always good to remember your history.
Yeah.
You actually brought with you a game, and I was kind of conflicted on it, and I can't remember the name of it because it's got some foreign name.
All right, yeah, Six Nimmt.
Yes,
Oh,
Six
yeah.
Nimmt. It was very... I didn't like it, and then I liked it, and then I was like, I don't know.
So this was in the This was in the Bristol Museum that you busted this out, Sam.
It was the Bristol Museum that I busted this out. And this is the bone I've got to pick with Pete. Last time around on the podcast, you were bemoaning the fact that you haven't got any friends and like you don't like playing big games.
Yes.
And like really all you want in life is to be able to like get a few people together, get something out your pocket and play something for 20 minutes, have a great time and then walk away.
Yeah.
And then I showed you Six Nimmt, literally getting it out of my pocket, playing it for 20 minutes. I asked you, oh, did you like that? And you were like, no, yeah, it was all right.
Yeah,
it really.
It was all right. It was okay. I mean, I found
it's more than all right. It's a really superb game. I mean, if
refresh my memory. How
refresh your memory.
How I can barely remember the mechanics. It's something to do with cards and numbers.
There's only really one.
There's only one. I mean, Six Nimmt is very simple. If you listen to this podcast, then chances are you also watch Shut Up and Sit Down. So you'll probably already know what Six Nimmt is, but in case you don't, Six Nimmt is a card game which is made up of just 104 cards, and immediately, like that kind of prospect just grabs my attention. Like at the moment, the games that I love the most are games, and I think it's the games that I've always loved as a child. When my grandpa first taught me Clock Solitaire, I've always been obsessed.
Go off and play on your own, Sam,
it was kind of like he didn't want to play with me, and like I heard of like solitaire and played solitaire, and he was like, "But how about this?" And it was the first time someone had demonstrated to me how one thing could be used in multiple ways, like how something could be like could morph, and something the same things could represent different things. And I think ever since then I've been obsessed with this idea of like a pack of cards could be any number of games, and cards with 1 to 100 of them could be the mind, but then cards with 1 to 100 of them could also be Six Nimmt plus 4 cards. You know, so I immediately am on board with that kind of concept of here are a deck of cards with a few numbers of them. The most important thing here is the rules and the interactions with other people that you have playing the game. And you know, that is just, I am on board with that because that's what I want. And I think, Pete, that's what you want too. So everyone, you shuffle the cards, all 104 of them. You deal 10 to each of the players. This Six Nimmt suits 2 to 10. And then so everyone's got a hand of 10 cards. Then you've got 4 cards in the table, which of course have a number of them each. And the idea is you've got to play a card from your hand that will go next to one of those 4 cards in the centre of the table. And there are only 2 rules, really, that it has to follow. Your card has to be higher than one of the 4 cards on the table. And if it's higher than 2 or 3 of the cards on the centre of the table, then it will always go next to the card in which there's a smallest amount of difference between the 2 numbers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, like, if you've got the card 99 and on the table is 96 and 97, you'll put it onto the one that is 97 because it's closest.
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be a tough game if it was like that.
It would.
And that's it in terms of rules. The only other rule really is that if you place a card on a row and it's the 6th card to be placed on that row, hence the name 6 nimmt or 6 takes, if you don't speak German, you will then take every single card in that row as a penalty. And on all the cards is a small bull, like a bull's head. Some cards have multiple bulls. Some cards just have one bull. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most bulls, essentially loses. Or so whoever has the least balls, it's like golf. Whoever has the least wins. And that's it. And within those like 2 or 3 different rules, it's just an incredible card game. And I absolutely love it. And I think when I first played this game with my wife, she was like, ugh. When all you're doing is trying to put down a card that's higher than a card that's already there, it's difficult to know, am I really like doing anything strategic here, or am I just trying to get rid of my hand of cards?
It is a game that gets to the meta very quickly. Like the game is entirely its meta, but it does take 3 or 4 games to get to that meta.
Yeah, which is why at the start of this, because it's a card game based on cards that have just got numbers on them, the game exists between the people that you're playing with.
Yeah.
And playing with those rules. So very, very quickly, like, my wife didn't really agree with it the first couple of games. And then we played something else and she turned to me and went, I really liked that game that we were playing before. I really liked it. And she played it again, and then immediately she started to understand a bit more about what the game is asking you to do. And essentially what the game is asking you to do is more often than not gamble on what everyone else is going to be doing around the table.
Push your luck.
Quinton Smith in his review refers to the game having this wonderful like flow of it's starting off very easy because everyone's got lots of different options to go to, and then suddenly the whole game filtering down to the fact that everyone's only got 3 cards left and their options become very, very limited, which means that there becomes a lot of these moments where someone will put down a card that will either screw you up or free you up just to run and do something you never thought was possible until that card is played on the table. And the joy and elation, or the frustration and the heartache you feel in that moment is just absolutely incredible. And it just happens round on round on round, play on play on play. I like to think of Second Showdown not really having flow, but having more of that sort of accordion feel that some games would have. There's those moments where it really stretches out, and then those moments that it really comes together and that's really tight, and then suddenly you have that like breath of fresh air when it stretches out, and then it sort of like all compresses, and everyone's having that moment of compression or that relaxation at different times around the table.
I think a major selling point for me in this game is, and why it was so perfect for us in Bristol, was it's not just a single deck of cards. It's a single deck of cards where literally the game's already prepared for you.
Yeah.
You know, you shuffled, and it was great. We played it at the museum in Bristol. We also played it in a cafe when we were sheltering from the rain.
Yes.
And it was literally just Sam pulls out the deck of cards, already prepped, deals out the cards, 4 on the table, done. You're starting in like 30 seconds or so. And that for me, and it feels like I got flashbacks to when I was a kid on family holidays where it was a rainy day on the holiday, for example, and it felt like, you know, oh, we've got this deck of cards. Which card game should we play today, kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
And to actually have that degree of meta strategy very quickly is great. It's a great fix, and actually it's interesting, Sam. Thinking about it, you're saying it's like the mind. It is actually. It's like the mind that's not collaborative. It's competitive. The mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I quite like. It took me to that headspace, and I actually prefer it to the mind. Actually, really, I think not necessarily because it's competitive, but because it's not all about that invisible kind of meta-communicative kind of aspect. That's one of its many facets.
I think it's a slower. It is slow. It kind of is a slow one to get because I think 6 nimmt only really lands when you play something and someone else reacts to something that you've played. If I play a card, say for example, and like that card eliminates a row, which means a card that you took a risk on, that you took a gamble on playing, suddenly won't land you lots of bulls and lots of penalty points. When I see your reaction to that, like, you know, wipe the sweat off your brow or just go, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, so that's when 6 nimmt makes those triggers. You just go, oh, so that's the strategy. Like, so yeah, 6 nimmt can be a bit more of a slower burn, but you're absolutely right, Kris. If, like, for some reason I've got this false memory of playing 6 nimmt in a rainy caravan in some caravan park in Wales that never existed. It just feels like... It does feel like a game that I've been playing for 10 or 15 years. And it's just one of those exceptionally versatile, tiny, wonderful experiences. And it's kind of, those are the games I'm chasing at the moment. I think, I don't know, Pete. I guess what I want to know is, like, if that's not what you're after, then what are you after in terms of like tight 20-minute experiences with a very varied player count?
Well, let me tell you. I have been playing 7 Wonders.
This week, Pete has been playing. Did you say 7 Wonders?
I haven't been playing the board game. I've been playing the digital adaptation.
You've been playing the actual landmarks
of the board game. Yeah, I've been seeing if I can get to Giza, and there's one called something like Palathanakos or something like that.
Yeah. Close.
Something close. Thanks. There's one called Rhodes.
There are.
There's one.
The M25
called the 7th Wonder of the World. The M25. So yeah, I've not been playing the actual board game, though we do own it. And we do own Duel, and we've talked about that before, but I've never played the app before, the video game version, and it's only available on iOS and Android. It doesn't have a PC version, and immediately I was like, why? Why isn't there a PC version? And after playing about 20 games of it on Android, I think I understand why. It is really good, and I think a PC version would be really neat, but I've been playing games of 7 Wonders in 3 minutes. Like, that really is actually how long it takes to play that game.
3 minutes? Like a minute per age?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you think about it...
Like, if you think about it, Kris, the rest of the 27 minutes are taken up with all the adding you have to do.
Right, so I know, Sam, that one of your criticisms...
How many games of darts have we played, Sam, where most of it has been spent around the chalkboard?
So... Sam,
that's fun.
I've heard your opinion that it is just GCSE maths, but but if that's your criticism of it, and I think that's fair enough, because I think the scoring of 7 Wonders, I have played the board game before, and I do find the scoring side of things a little bit tedious. There is a separate app that allows you to calculate all that stuff, but whatever, blah blah blah. If you find that is the thing that you don't like, then yeah, the computer game version gets rid of all of that. I mean, you still have to do mentally all of the thinking about like
You still got to play the game, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've actually got to do the maths on the fly, which is, there's plenty of maths in tons of board games that we play. We should probably briefly explain, I guess, what Seven Wonders is. I mean, so it's like, it's a multiple, I think it's like one of the most award-winning board games of all time.
Yeah, Antoine Bowser is the designer.
Antoine Bowser. And it is about, you have essentially it's kind of like a card game in which you get a hand of cards and you pick one of the cards in your hand and then you pass the remaining hand onto the person to your left or to your right, depending on which direction the game is going, and you keep doing that. And the whole aim of the game is to get these victory points, and you get victory points by either putting down victory point cards or cards that sort of give you tertiary benefits of victory points in the end. So, for example, you might want green science technology cards. If you get 3 of those, then you get 3x 3 points or something like that at the end of it. And this is some of the GCSE maths that Sam is talking about. But to buy those green cards, you need resources like wood and bricks and stone. And to get those, obviously, you have to pick those from the hand as well. So it's kind of the game is it's a classic. And it is it's a hand management game and a resource management game at the same time. You're just trying to figure out what is my strategy for getting these victory points, and doing the sort of also trying to figure out what your opponents are going for at the same time. The digital version. Now, if you think about that, all that physically handing things over, pulling from like a hand of cards, that kind of thing, that slows the game down. I mean, it's a quick game, but it slows the game down. When you're playing the AI, genuinely, 5 minutes? I can play a game in 5 minutes.
So essentially you're speed running Seven Wonders.
I'm speed running Seven Wonders. And it's this very different experience of... It is speed running a board game. But what you're doing is you are getting to the meta of the game much, much, much faster. Like, I have played maybe 3 games of Seven Wonders, the board game, in my entire life. I have played 20 in the last week on this digital app.
It's only Monday as well.
I know, right? I've been getting better and better and better at Seven Wonders. Like, and so just by speeding up the process, by putting all the information in front of you that you would normally have anyway, it's just you haven't got to take the fraction of a second that it'll be to look to your left, physically calculate what this person has, look to your right, physically calculate what this person has. It's by speeding all of these elements up, you get to the heart of what the strategy of Seven Wonders actually is. And it's good.
Are you itching to play the physical version again? Are you like, oh yeah, I want to bring all this meta to the table?
Yeah. Like,
but we'll all have to be very quiet, and we'll just have to pass our cards around at lightning speed.
Zip, 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 zip. Yeah, going around the room like lightning fast. Yeah, I mean,
because I think it'll be really interesting. Because I think the game is doing a lot of work to smooth out that meta that you will just get frustrated by when you play the physical version.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in the physical version, if I want to know how much further is this person than me, I have to look at everything that they have and just go and trying to figure out the maths of it, and that is is no good.
I think that's part of the fun. There's nothing better when somebody who's been so confident in like the first 2 ages that they've got the most military might, and they've not been aware of the fact that the person next to them has just literally pipped them at the post, and suddenly they've got all this military, and that point where they turn to you and say, "Oh my gosh, when did you do this?" Yeah. I love that. And I think you lose that a little bit.
There is something very enjoyable about that, but it is almost by playing it in a digital fashion, you're almost playing it on a different level. Like, playing it physically adds this layer of friction that to the overall meta strategy of what the game actually is. Whereas the digital version cuts all of that away.
Other people.
Yeah.
Kris, this is my thing. I'm really starting to believe that the one thing Pete hates about board games is playing with other people. Like, it just seems like they just slow me down.
No.
Human cattle grids. Do you reckon, Sam, that when we are playing, like, we occasionally get together to play Civ 5 online, do you think just Pete just mutes the chat? It's just it's playing against his AI. I know. I mean, I'm pulling your leg, Pete. I know this isn't about that at all.
I like it much better when they're quiet. I'll tell you one thing the Seven Wonders app doesn't do: back chat.
That's true. That's true. You can mute people. Thank God. All right, quick question. So we've had a question from @fatboy_Rob via Twitter. Thank you @fatboy_Rob.
What was his Twitter again?
@fatboy_Rob.
Okay.
And he sent this via @StayingInPod. You can also do it on Facebook and stayinginpod@gmail.com. And just a very quick one, because I feel like it probably needs to be. Toy Story 4 is better than Toy Story 3.
Okay. Who around this table has seen Toy Story 3?
Oh, I've seen Toy Story 3.
I've seen Toy Story 3.
I've seen Toy Story 3.
Peter Willington has seen Toy Story 3. Who around this table has seen Toy Story 4?
No.
Okay, so, yeah, this is going to be a very quick question. Pete, what happens in the beginning of Toy Story 4?
I feel like Woody and Buzz are up to their old antics, and they meet a new character called...
Well, if we've seen the trailer, we all know what the new character is. It's
Mr. Pickles.
Spoonie?
Forky.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so... Buzzy and Woody are up to their old tricks, and they meet their new friend
Forky.
Spoonie.
Forky Spoonie.
Forky Spoonie.
See, you've played it before.
And what do they do? So this is the opening 40 minutes. Of Toy Story 4.
The Spoon Fork wants to get back to the restaurant that he was part of, and deliver delicious food to the masses, whereas Buzz and Woody are like, we're toys, we're not really into that. But then they go on an adventure to make sure he gets back home.
Okay, so traditional, like, hero's arc, but Kris.
Yes, Sam.
What happens for the next middle third of Toy Story 4?
What will happen will be that the characters become separated. I think Forky will be kidnapped, perhaps by Knifey.
Oh, what a twist.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
And basically it'll be either Woody or Buzz's fault, and they will have a dispute with each other, and they will have to make amends with each other in order to collectively save Forky from Knifey.
Now, Kris, will there be a song?
Is Randy Newman still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there will be a song.
Then there will be a sing. Okay, all right. Okay, so that happens in Toy Story 4. There's one song. There's one song in Toy Story 4. Just the one. Just the one. Which some people may think is a benefit to the Toy Story series.
What's the title of the song, Sam?
The title of the song is I've got 4 prongs, you've got 1. And it's Forky explaining to Knifey how even though Knifey's only got 1 prong, and he's got 4, they might be different, but really, they're the same.
Right.
And it's
like I'm a pink toothbrush, you're a blue toothbrush.
And after this song, Knifey realises that if we could only work together, then maybe our goals are actually a little bit the same. Mm-hmm. So it's like almost saying, we could eat this steak, But it's a lot easier to eat a steak with a knife and fork than it is just with a fork or a knife. That's kind of the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So Forky and Knifey, they are able to reconcile their differences. Because at this point, what we didn't say is that they'd then been locked away in a cellar by a bad cutlery collector called Baron von Spoon. And they managed to escape by working together while singing
Baron von Spoon.
My forks are better than your prawns.
Yeah, Baron von Spoon is spelled SP umlauted UN. It's like
And then they escape, and they didn't realise that Baron von Spoon lives on an island, like almost sort of Count of Monte Cristo-esque. And they're saved by Woody and Buzz off the island, and they sail off into the sunset to live together eating steak.
So, at fatboy_Rob, Toy Story 4 or Toy Story 3?
I actually prefer Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
I think more songs.
Better written. I'll be honest.
Better written.
Less silverware.
Less silverware. Characters are a bit more fleshed out. I feel Toy Story 4 feels like a film that was created over dinner. You know, when they kind of run out of ideas and they're just like, how about these? And just held up their cutlery and just thought, that'll do.
Yeah.
It almost feels like it's the kind of film that was written at 11:15 on a Monday evening.
And it has been hot as well, hasn't it? Really. It has been really hot.
It's been really hot.
Here, so
Toy Story 3 is the unequivocal answer to that question.
Yeah, so thanks for your question.
Oh my god. I mean, we don't deserve questions, really.
No, we don't.
I think I've got a game that Pete would love. I don't know if he's played it because I've not asked him.
Come on.
Now's a perfect time, Chris.
Now is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Peter, have you played a game called Donut County?
No, but I've heard that it is fantastic.
It is so up your street, and the problem is now I've said that, you're automatically not going to like it. But when I've played this for the very first time, I thought Pete will love this game.
Okay.
And I hate doing this, I'm kind of being hypocritical now, but it does remind me of if Night in the Woods had changed developers about halfway through, and it was developers who did jazz punk. And what they spat out the other end was this game. It would be this. This is from Ben Esposito, who Sam will probably know. He did Unfinished Swan, and actually he was working on this. He was working on this while he was finishing up Unfinished Swan. I bought this because I just completed Detroit Become Human, which was free on PS Plus a couple of months ago.
What a game!
What a game! So the hook for this game, the lure of this game, why I go back to this game, and I've gone back repeatedly, is, have you ever watched videos of like one of those industrial crushers and people just drop random stuff into it, and that satisfaction of watching something just be eviscerated and just dissipate and go into the bowels of this thing? Or when somebody makes a very good hoop shot in basketball, like 3-point.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. That second one.
Or even just when you were a child, like putting blocks into their correctly shaped holes, essentially. Or as we're talking about with Scythe, when you've got the lovely little dents in the board and slotting the pieces in, that satisfaction of that is Donut County. The plot is farcical. You play. It's in a world where you've got anthropomorphized animals living alongside humans, and this young girl, Mira, she's best friends with her buddy BK, who is Iraqi.
Okay, I'm in. I'm on board.
And she works at a donut shop with him, and he's addicted to this app, which and he's trying to find a way to afford to get enough credit to buy his own quadcopter. And he sends out donut orders to people in the town, people ordering donuts, except he thinks he's sending out donuts. He's actually sending out holes. And you as a player, you move this hole around on the land there, and it's a small hole, so you're swallowing small things, and it just falls in effortlessly. And each time something falls in, the hole gets slightly bigger. So what starts off with a pebble and a paper cup will eventually become an entire tower block. And there's something quite satisfactory about it's almost like you've got this upside down Hoover, and you're just going around and tidying up and watching these people fall into this hole, because the game is told as a series of flashbacks where all the townspeople are just sat around a fire several hundred miles underground, deeply, deeply peeved at the fact that this raccoon has brought them all down here, and they're recounting how they got here. And it's brilliant. And halfway through the game, my partner was like, what are you playing? What's this? And I explained the premise, and she was like, can I have a go? And I didn't get the controller back. She completed the game, went back to the beginning and played up to where she'd gone. And I've never had that before, that instance. She just loved it, and I loved it. And I was getting to a difficult bit in Detroit, and I was playing Spyro 2 and sort of thinking, oh no, I'm just going to go back to Donut County. That is immediate satisfaction.
Ooh.
And it's not just and like these kind of great games, that it does some very interesting kind of mechanical things with the hole. It's like a catapult function where you can blast stuff out of it to solve puzzles and things, but ostensibly it is tidying up and hoovering up this level and watching a new scene open up, thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so great. You can mapping it out in your head. I'm going to start with that, going to move here, then I'm going to swallow that raccoon with the builder's hat on, then I'm going to take the parakeet on the Vespa, then I am going to take the possum who's trying to sleep. I'm going to totally swallow his bunk bed up. This is going to be hilarious. He's not going to see this coming. Then I will swallow up this entire traffic jam of traffic. And it's just hilarious. It's a bit like Human Fall Flat in that ridiculousness.
Is it really that fun, just like moving a circle around a screen and just seeing what falls in?
Yeah.
All right.
It is.
Well, there we go.
Like, I can't put my
there we
finger on
go.
it. It might not be fun for you, but I to be honest, I was really apprehensive about it. Actually, the one thing that I kind of don't like is there's a lot of text to kind of scroll through. I'm starting to sound, I know. And I'm not, I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't looking for something that was story driven to some extent. I just wanted that physics puzzler. In the same way that Human Fall Flat does it. Human Fall Flat, there isn't really a narrative per se. Right. It is just looking at the different kind of landscapes in which you try and traverse this humanoid blob across to comic effect. And there's a lot of text, which admittedly you can skip through if you want to, in the game to get to the levels.
It reminds me a lot of Katamari Damacy. If you ever played that, like again, like similar kind of mechanic, structure, and also like humor. It sounds like kind of weird and out there, and a little bit goofy, a little bit.
Yeah, it's bonkers. Can I just say, incidentally, a little bit of a shout out? This was published by Annapurna Interactive, who probably people are aware are going through some quite financial difficulties at the moment, and they're a studio I really like and admire. They gave the world Florence amongst many titles. They are in some difficulties at the moment, so if you're curious about any of their games, I strongly recommend you check them out.
Well, I recommend you get them now because they're digital. So
just to support them, really.
All right.
Good fun. Very short but sweet.
Give that a go.
Like a donut itself.
So that was Staying In with myself, Sam Turner, Peter Willington, and Dr. Kris Darby. If you like what you heard, then the best thing you can do next is just share the podcast with a friend. Listen over lunch or have a party together, whilst also maybe playing 20-Second Showdown, which is incredible. And thank you again to Big Potato Games for sending us a copy. If you'd like to send us a question or maybe look at what we're doing on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, then just search at Staying In Pod on all those things, and stayinginpod@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. But for the time being, it's goodbye from all of us. Bye bye.